Back at pit race, bikes on the grid, so let's get right down to Hannah.
I'm here with Bobby Fong, who is now riding for the Genuine Broaster Chicken Honda team. Tell us a little bit about how everything is going with the new team and riding a new manufacturer that you've been racing on something different for the previous remainder of the season.
Well, it's coming along quite good. I'm happy to be on a Honda. It's my first time on a Honda, first race weekend with the Broaster guys, and I got to say that the crew is such a hard-working crew, and they deserve a better result than what I got yesterday, so we're going to try to improve that today and try to get this Honda closer to the front.
Thanks, Bobby. Best of luck out there.
Obviously, you saw 8th place finish, but very interesting conditions, and I think it really would have been detrimental to Bobby to just throw the thing down the road. I actually thought 8th place was a pretty solid and safe result for him.
I think it was a safe one. I don't think if you talk to Bobby, he would say it's solid. Even he said there, he feels like it deserved more. But that said, he had 2 days or 1 day on it in Colorado, I believe, with Danny Walker and that team, and then they came here. So he is still getting used to the bike, and then obviously to have some wet, dry conditions weren't optimum for him. I think with these dry conditions now, he was fast on Friday morning practice. He was really quick. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him further up today.
Let's get back down to Hannah.
Garrett, this is your first front row start for you this whole season. With a podium finish yesterday, is it safe to say that you found your ideal setup?
Yeah, I think here that we have a really great setup. We just pulled the bike off the truck and we were already there. So it made it kind of easy for us this weekend. And now in the second race, just going to go try to do my best and run with these front guys and maybe lead some laps if I can. So I got a smile on my face. I'm ready to go.
All right. Thanks, Garrett.
You can see that graphic since Laguna. Nothing worse than 5th place for Garrett Gerloff. He's really started to find his rhythm with the Superbike.
And he looks different on it to me this weekend. So sometimes when you pull the bike out of the rig, like you said, they haven't really had to do much to it. I wouldn't be surprised to see that guy win his first Superbike race today. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I think he's starting to get the confidence and realizing that he can run with these guys. I know his teammate's going to have something to say about that. And the guy next to him as well, because he's sandwiched between Cameron Beaubier and Josh Herron on the front row. Then you got Tony Elias, Matthew Schultz, Kyle Wyman there on row 2. I'm sure Kyle's going to be happy to see a dry race.
Happy. We got to get a new picture of
Kyle.
We got to get a picture of Kyle smiling.
Got to sort that one out. We can get him smiling.
And as we move on to row number 3.
Yeah, back in row 3, we got Bobby Fong and we got Danny Eslick and Roger Hayden back on row 3, Greg. Row 4, we're going to have Max Flinders, David Anthony, and Jake Lewis. We saw Jake yesterday had a little bit of problems in Super Pole, and that made it to where he has to start from the 4th row. That said, he was running the same time as the leaders at the end of that race. So hopefully Jake can get himself up there a little bit further at the start and maybe try to mix it up. We're going to see him mix up with a few of these boys.
No doubt. And San Bernardino and Bruno Silva also on row number 5. Something that looks a lot different from yesterday is that kind of the middle left part of your screen. That's Cameron Beaubier. He's actually on the grid. That's a good thing. Yesterday was a little bit of a miscue, and in talking with Cameron Beaubier, he took total responsibility for that one and basically said he just made a mistake. So there's kind of a rule that says, you can do as many sighting laps as you want, but you got to come in each lap and go through pit lane, and if pit lane's closed, you're stuck. And so it was just a little bit of a mistake, and he started last. So Cameron Beaubier, who has had an absolutely fantastic second half of this season, really, Jason, ever since Dunlop brought out the new, bigger rear tire. We talked about it. And when we talk about new, bigger rear tire, the biggest change has to be in the form of the actual height of that tire. 14 millimeters, the difference from the tire they were running at the beginning of the year to what they run now. And that has a dramatic effect, not only gearing-wise, suspension-wise, just all across the board. And so it was kind of a race to see who was going to be able to adapt to it quicker.
And this guy did, and he put a big win streak together, compiled a bunch of points from that second round, from that second race at MotoAmerica on. He started to just go into Cameron Beaubier mode where he just starts winning races week in and week out.
Is that what we're calling it now?
Yeah, that's what I'm calling it. And Tony Elias just had some struggles. And the great thing about Tony, he's a racer. He's always got a smile. He always seems like he's a pretty positive guy, but he was with the guy that was just struggling on that new tire. And he's not stopped working, and he keeps on trying to get that thing better. He'll be at the front of this thing today. I think that it'll be interesting to see how Herron goes in the full dry. He'd love to back up that win yesterday with another win today in all dry conditions.
So Bobby Fong trying to make an impression for the Genuine Broaster Chicken Honda squad. Kyle Wyman, 7th in the points of the riders in the top 8. Kyle's the only rider so far this season that hasn't had a podium appearance. And he knows that New Jersey is right around the corner, but he wants to prove to everyone that, after last year's result in Jersey with Kyle Wyman, that he's not just a one-track wonder, that he can do it all over the place. So he's putting a little bit of pressure on himself to get that done on that Harv's KWR Yamaha.
you know, though, Greg, at the end of the day, he did get that podium, and he earned him. And it's the thing that you got to remember, and that Kyle should reflect back on, is he's the same rider, it's the same bike, same tires, same in the sense that he can ride with any of these guys, and it's just a matter of getting that one weekend to click and get a little bit of confidence, and Kyle will be right there with him.
And he is his effort. I mean, he's got a good team behind him. But it's Kyle Wyman Racing, KWR, and so it's not like he's got unlimited budget and resources.
He's got a lot
to go
more
out
things
and
to worry about than Cameron and Garrett Gerloff and Tony and Raj and all those guys. He's got a lot more things. Even Matthew Schultz, he's got more. He's running his own effort, his own team. Yeah. So there's a lot of dynamics that go along with all that, and it's hard to probably be processing all that through the weekend.
And it happens in this class. Max Flinders doing that. A little homage to Roger Hayden for his retirement tour.
Yep.
As Roger will hang up the helmet in MotoAmerica, Motul Superbike Class Pro Racing at the end of this season. And Roger Hayden with an incredible career over the years, and just amazing what he was able to do last year with tragedy, in the household.
Yep.
Roger Hayden on the Yoshimura Suzuki. And, of course, Roger's announcement that he's departing, that he's retiring from racing after 20 years as a pro. He hasn't had a summer off since he was 9 years old. And but, of course, that has caused quite the scuttlebutt this season, not only here in the United States, Jason, but all across the board and all across the world, really. I mean, you have people calling, asking about the ride.
Yep.
Italy and Spain and all over
everywhere.
the place.
All these guys from World Superbike and MotoGP, some of the guys that don't have rides there have all been kind of trying to contact people over here. I wouldn't want to be like Pat Alexander or Don
Sakakura. Yeah.
Their phones just got to, where's this number coming from? So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, now is now, and race number 2 of the Motul Superbike class getting ready to go off. And you see it's a front row of Yamahas, R1s in the mix. Can Cameron Beaubier make up for yesterday's finish? Can Josh Herron repeat? Revs were up, clutches out. Herron with a good launch, and it looks like Tony Elias around the outside.
Nope.
It's going to be Herron.
It's going to be Herron. Same type of thing as yesterday. Now it's dry. These guys are going to not let him want to try to get away like he did yesterday. And you can see, look at these Superbikes moving up over the top of that hill, Greg. Tony Elias is going to come on right to the attack mode, go up underneath Herron as they go into turn 3. He's going to outbrake himself, and he draws Herron in there with him. Look at both Yamahas. Wow,
where are you going?
Where are we going to get 3 or 4 wide down through there? I didn't see that coming. Look what it's done for Kyle Wyman. He's trying to get himself in that little mix. Matthew Schultz with a horrible start. He's back in 7th behind
Wyman up
Raj.
to 4th.
Raj got a great start. You can see now. Oh, I'm trying to see, did Kyle get by or not?
No, he didn't. He didn't. So he got kind of a drive up the inside there, and he wasn't able to make the pass.
Matthew just touched Raj as they go into turn 7. He just got up underneath Raj and touched his front right handlebar there. That's a shame for Raj.
So Roger Hayden down. We'll see if he's able to pick up that motorcycle and continue. Ooh, and Garrett Gerloff on the transition there just had a big bobble on the front end. So the 31, Garrett Gerloff, after a second place finish yesterday. It looks like the bike speed up.
For Raj. You can see his air suit had gone off as well. But it was just enough. It looked like he just probably hooked him on his knee, and it was just enough to take the bars out of Raj's hand and lose the front.
This is not what everyone wanted to see right now. Tony Elias leading the way. But we have...
Schultz just, he went through the chicane, put his hand up just to let everybody know he didn't gain a position. And he's back. So Matthews had a bit of a strange start here. Not probably the best start for him. And then a little contact with Raj and then missing the chicane. So he just got to get himself settled down again and get himself back where he needs to be. He'll catch back up to that group.
Love what I see out of Kyle Wyman right now in the 33. But, and looks like Herron's wide. But Kyle, wide. Jason, and watching the rear end of his bike compared to the 4 Superbikes in front of him, it's a lot more violent for him when he's trying to get on the gas at the moment. And this is early days on these Dunlop tires.
Well, we're going to have to watch it a little bit closer as we go. I'll tell you the guy that just looks so in control to me right now, and I said it at the beginning of the show, is Garrett Gerloff. He is just all weekend long seemed like he could put the laps down. Tony, it'll be interesting to see if Tony can gap at all. And here you go, Greg. You're going to see Matthew Schultz just behind Raj now, and he kind of dives for the inside. And right about here, it's his foot. His foot just kind of hits Raj's handlebar, and it's just enough to turn the bars away. And you can see Raj isn't happy. He knows about it. So
yeah, and that's a big effort from the team, as every team this weekend. You hate to see it end so early in the race.
Herron's gone through on Garrett, so any momentum. The problem when you race a guy like Josh is he's so hungry to get up to the front. You can't let your guard down at all. You can't just be content sitting there. And that's I've said it race after race. The thing I like the most is he's not going to be content. He's going to be going for passes. He got a tremendous drive out of turn 6 up over the top of that hill, and he set Garrett up into turn 7. I think the person that all these guys are probably a little bit scared of race pace-wise is that guy in 4th place right now, number 6, Cameron Beaubier. And as long as Herron doesn't see him up front, right now he wants to get to Tony as quickly as he can and try to do something with Tony as well.
So Kyle Wyman, at least early stages of this race, having a good go at it. Right behind him, Matthew Skulch, Yamalube Westby Racing Yamaha. So the Attack Performance Herron compound machine trying to figure out a way to close down the gap on Yoshimura Factory Suzuki rider and number 1 plated Tony Elias.
You can see we kind of got the same type of thing as we had yesterday. Garrett comes up over the top of that hill, and that bike's not backed in at all. Herron's got to wait for his bike to get back in line because it's so backed in coming up over the top of turn 1 that he's got to wait for that bike to come in line. If it was a flat surface and it was just there was no undulation and no camber, it would be a lot easier to just get that bike to turn. But when you have that kind of off camber, it makes it, you got to wait a little bit longer for that bike to get in line.
And Tony's bike looks the best I have seen it since the big tire.
Yep.
I mean, it just looks good, especially under acceleration where Tony has a lot of snapping around as Beaubier goes around Garrett Gerloff. So the Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha Factory Racing entry, the teammates going after each other, and your championship points leader moves up another spot.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that Garrett's got a problem or anything, but it just sort of seems like those guys are able to draw up on him a lot out of turn 6, and it's a very easy pass for them. I mean, Cameron literally rode around the outside of him there. Now you can see Bobby Fong has got past Kyle Wyman. Jake Lewis still within touching distance of those guys up in front of him, so Jake's going to have to try to get by Kyle as well.
Bobby Fong looking good on the genuine Broster Chicken Honda. That's the CBR 1000RR SP2 model. It's good to see this bike in the mix early on in this race. Through the chicane he goes.
And you know, they can still see the leaders, which is great. I mean, I know we're only 3 laps in, but we've had some races this year where the guys get out in front. Now, when these guys come up over turn 1, I want you to pay attention because Cameron's bike, by just not knowing Cameron a little bit, his bike very rarely is truly really backed in. You might see it here and there occasionally, but you see how Herron's bike is kind of backed in and Cameron's just sitting there kind of waiting for Josh to get up over the top. So that might just be something that Josh really likes, and that's kind of how he's enjoying riding it. But it's just going to make it to where he's got to wait a little bit longer to get back in. So looking at the times, 42.3 to a 42.6. Cameron Beaubier went 42.3 as well that lap. So he did the identical time pretty much as did Tony up in the front here.
Just off the back of your screen, Bobby Fong just trying to stay latched on to Matthew Skultz in 5th spot because Skultz is doing some quick times. A 42.5, just a little quicker than Gerloff. So if Gerloff's not careful, the Yamalube Westby Racing Yamaha of Skultz finished 2nd yesterday. He's going to come up, or I'm sorry, finished 3rd yesterday. Yep. He's going to come up on Gerloff and send him back another spot.
Talking to Stamboli earlier, Richard, he said that the big spots that Josh is having some issues in is all this little S section. And if you watch just in that shot there, and I'll show it to you next time you come through, he's actually upshifting before the last left, which seems a little odd to me, a little unusual. I'm going to look at some of the other guys because I believe everybody's pretty much taken the S's in one gear. And so Josh might just be running a little bit different gear pattern than the guys in front of him as well. So, or the guys around him on other Yamahas.
Herron sliding up, makes the mistake.
Yep, he ain't going to make that. And so he kind of pulls out of the way, and that's going to give Cameron and Garrett, and maybe, no, not quite Matthew, but it's going to give those other 2 guys a chance to get back the spot. Now Cameron.
Yeah, here we go.
Now I know what's going to happen, right? He's going to drop the hammer and try to go after Tony.
Yeah, because in the section you were talking about where Herron was struggling, that's when Gerloff and Skultz were able to close right up on him.
Yep.
So now Cameron Beaubier has clear track in front of him, and he's got a nice carrot in Tony Elias.
And you can see the drive. Cameron gets off that turn 1. And now Josh is going to try to do something with Garrett as they come up into turn 3. Is he going to get up underneath him, Greg? It looks like he is. Yep, certainly is. And he gets very class move there. Gets the bike in there, gets it turned properly, and out of there. So Josh is right back on the attack, and that's why I say is great about what he does. Now, we're going to start looking at this first sector. It'll be the first time of the race I'll really look at the first sector and see if Cameron starts to make any impression on that lead that Tony has pulled out. First sector comes up right now, 42.1 to a 42.2. So Tony actually pulled away a 10th, but that's Cameron's fastest first sector of his race so far. Now, when they come out of here, watch Josh. He does an upshift right here. See if he does it. Yeah, he does do it.
Yeah, I saw his
he
foot,
did it,
yep.
and Garrett's not. So, so Josh is probably running a short gear to get the bike slowed down into turn 7. He runs through those first couple S's and then has to upshift it in the middle of the middle of the S's.
That's the battle for third. Number 2, Josh Herron, yesterday's race winner, in third spot.
Matthew tried to go underneath Garrett.
Garrett.
Wow, is that a fast spot that he's doing that?
Oh.
See if he's able to get. Is he going to be able to turn it? Yep, he's turning it. He got it in there and out of there. That's an incredible pass by Garrett
job by Garrett Gerloff.
After he just got set up completely when they went into that top 13, 14 segment, Greg. The fact that he tried to go up underneath Garrett there was incredible. What a hard pass that would be. Now, Garrett probably wants to have a little bit of clear track himself to try to catch back up to his teammate. This is where, if you're Garrett, you got to just get all your focus ahead. See how much he pulls away just right there, just into turn 1, and throw. You can see it. Can you not? Right?
Yeah.
And it's just that little bit of roll speed that he's able to carry. And this time he's going to get through turn 3 without any problems from behind this time.
Last time by, Beaubier was able to take out 0.2 of a second. So 1 second when we came across the stripe for Cameron Beaubier, who has the fastest lap of the race, by the way, on lap 5. So last time by at 1:42 flat is the fastest lap of the race so far by Cameron Beaubier as he sets sail after Tony Elias.
I think that and I don't know for sure, I don't know if they've made any changes to Garrett's bike overnight, but for sure getting on the gas, on the edge of the tire, on that off-camber uphill turn 6, could definitely see his bike moving just a little bit more than we saw yesterday, even though yesterday we only got to see that section kind of dry for 2 laps, let's say.
13 laps remain in this race. Motul Superbike class action going on right now as Tony Elias leads the way from Cam Beaubier. Garrett Gerloff in third. Josh Herron in fourth. Matthew Skoltz. That's the battle we're looking at right now. And just behind them, Bobby Fong. So, man, a top 5 finish for the Genuine Broaster Chicken Honda team. They're so close. Oh, man. No. Garrett Gerloff.
It did look like he was struggling just a little bit more to me today than I've seen him in the session. Oh, Matthew hits the curbing on the inside across the grass. Now he's got to be careful, Greg. You see all that mud?
Yeah.
He's got to be really careful, and he doesn't know, obviously, but coming on, look at, see, he's careful leading in. Bobby's trying to go by him. I need Matthew to be really careful on this next left because there's a lot of mud on that tire. All right,
Didn't get the full lean angle there, but full lean angle's coming up right here.
But he knows that mud should be cleared off by now. And there goes Jake Lewis taking advantage of the stuff that just happened in front of him. Matthew, that tire's cleared off now. Now Jake Lewis is going to try to come to the front and go by Matthew as they head up into turn 3. He's got a tremendous run on him, does Matthew. Or does Jake rather.
Jake Lewis.
Yep, and he gets
so
up
Jake
underneath
Lewis
him.
goes up underneath him. M4X Star Suzuki around the Yamalube Westby Racing Yamaha. So Jake Lewis will take over that 5th place spot.
Oh, such a bummer for Garrett. You know, it's like he just moved himself up into that 3rd spot. And look at
Lewis
Jake
wide.
runs a little bit wide. Matthew runs right back up underneath him. Now let's see if Jake gets in that little tiny draft that you might get down that hill.
And right now it looks like Cameron Beaubier is closed. He's halved the gap, so just about 0.6 of a second between Tony and Cam Beaubier as he's starting to chip away at Tony's lead. Josh Herron, he's in 3rd. He's not in no man's land, Jay. I mean, obviously, you know, he's right there and attackable if Matthew Skoltz can settle his brain back down and get into the race rhythm he needs.
Yeah, that was a big moment for Matthew. He hit that inside curbing in the chicane, and it's actually a pretty big curbing. So he hit that, then he ran across the grass where we've seen a lot of people have tip overs once they've got in that grass. He was able to get through it, but you saw how dirty his tires were. So just when they go back to the left here, that curbing on the inside is a lot higher than I thought it would be when I went out there and actually looked at it. And that's not like real flat. So when you hit that, it definitely can disrupt things. But he's got things back under control now, and he's able to close that gap up to Josh Herron pretty quickly on this lap here. Now Cameron Beaubier has probably 42 flat to 42.5 for Tony Elias. So Cameron, again, a half a second quicker, has closed up.
And Tony looked over at his pit board. I saw him take a good long look at that. So now I'm going to take a look at the body language of Tony Elias as well as the attitude or the pitch of the motorcycle. There goes Tony, sends it sideways, just like you're talking about, Jason. Cameron keeps it in the line.
Yep, he keeps it in the line a lot, does Cameron. He doesn't have the bike out of shape very much. But see, Tony, he's so good on the brakes, and he's so good about he tips in the bike probably earlier than any of our Superbike competitors. So when he starts that initial tip in, when he starts to make that transition, that's why you see the bike back in. He gets down to the apex quicker than a lot of guys.
He does. Taking a long look at Tony, though, because he knows, and sure, he can hear Cam Beaubier's. You know, that Yamaha has a very distinctive sound.
Yep.
And he knows that he's right on his tailpipe now.
And he's watching his board, Greg, like you said. You know, he's watched the board and seen that.
Tony Elias, Yoshimura Factory Racing on that Suzuki GSXR 1000. That's the same bike you can buy off the showroom floor. This is lightly modified
just a little bit.
into a ripping Superbike. But look how good he is there, Tony.
Solid. And that's because he turns his bike so early coming up over the top of that hill. He has a different riding style. He has a riding style that just allows him to not use up as much racetrack unless he has to. Even like in turns like this, he always seems to tip in a little bit earlier than other guys, get it down there, get it turned, and get it up on. But see, even coming out of here, he'll run over to the right. You see how he doesn't release the turn as much as Cameron did? All day the other day when I was over there watching, he has a tendency to hold on to that right, but he lets the bike run out more in the middle so he can get back over there.
10 laps to go in this one. Cam Beaubier has caught Tony Elias. And that last time by, it wasn't like Tony set the world on fire as he takes a tear off. So that's actually a little thin plastic tear off that's on the shield. So if he gets a bug or something on there, you can just clear it off. Got a couple of those each time they go out on the racetrack. So Tony, last time by a 1:42.4. Cam Beaubier's fastest lap of the race was two laps ago at a 1:41.7.
That's right, yeah. And when you just on that battle for third, I'm seeing up on my screen right now that Stoltz has gone by. You see on the left-hand side of your screens, the Stoltz did get by Josh for third and fourth there. And this is where, like Cameron, I like Cameron. He just kind of sits there and watches, it seems to me. There's no real stress on his part.
That's what I'm saying. Halfway through the race, basically, Jason, you know, you just kind of worked your tires pretty hard to close the gap and get on Tony. The urgency of a young rider tendency maybe is to just try to get by Tony and put your head down and just get frantic. But Cameron seems he caught him.
Yep.
Now just chill.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And but Jason, with Tony, you've got to think about it because he's so good on the brakes.
Yep.
You've got to start figuring out and strategizing where you can do it.
And Cameron's doing that. Look how much faster he is through the chicane. And the reason for that is because Tony tips in so early. Look right there. Tony tips in early. So the hard part is Cameron's going to have to do something with him out of turn 2 into turn 3 and turn him on. Okay, now I know who's there. He's right behind me. No big deal. But it's going to happen in turn 3 for Cameron is where I think. Because he seems to, his bike, when they come up over the top of this hill, both bikes look great. But over this next hill, Cameron's bike in practice looks so good. No movement. He's able to keep the thing kind of pinned. And you can see Tony has to kind of get the bike turned at the top and cut across a little bit to get his bike upright.
This is turn 3.
This is turn 3.
This is where you think it's going to happen.
I do. Yeah, I believe that'll probably be the place that will happen.
All right, so just past the halfway point, 9 to go. It's Tony Elias leading the way from Cam Beaubier. Matthew Stoltz has moved into third. Josh Herron, Jake Lewis, Bobby Fong, Danny Eslick. Kyle Wyman, David Anthony, Max Flinder, Sam Bertorico in 11th spot, and Bruno Silva, as we have seen the exit of Garrett Gerloff and Roger Hayden in this one.
Yeah, again, Danny Eslick's team, they did a good job. We saw his bike blow up yesterday, and Danny was pretty adamant about, I think he felt like there was some oil on the track, and he was trying to get the race maybe looked to get stopped, but those fairings these guys run now, these captive fairings that they run are tremendous because it doesn't allow the oil to, or at least not as much oil to get on the track. Tony with a quick twitch there from that right to left. But watch how early Tony gets tipped in. You'll see two significantly different lines as they get ready to do this little shoot here. Now see where Cameron can bring it back over and Tony just stays out there. Now watch Cameron through the middle of the chicane. He can draw up on the back of Tony pretty good there in the middle.
Sure does.
Yep, and that's a drive. But see, the problem is, Greg, is it's real hard to do anything with anybody in that corner that they just went through right now. This last turn, it's such a short run from that chicane to that corner that it's hard to get up underneath somebody, especially somebody like Tony.
Can't say how impressed I am with the top 7 right now. Actually, sorry, the top 6. All last time by 42s, 142s for Elias, Beaubier, Stoltz, Herron, Lewis, and Fong on that Honda Woo.
Oh, that's the worst I've ever seen.
That's the worst I've ever seen it.
But that kind of tells me that that was kind of like a trial run. Like, let me see if I can just go up over this thing, keep it pinned, and he's got to he's got to be to the left of Tony going up over the top of that ridge. See, the problem is that Tony's running out. You see how much lean angle Cameron has there? The lap before, he didn't have as much. But he knows he's got to kind of be to the left of Tony as they come up over the top of that hill. So he's got to get the bike turned. But the problem is when the bike gets on the edge of the tire, it gets pretty squirmy up over the top.
Yeah, a little moto in two.
Yep,
little moto experience
absolutely.
from Cam Beaubier. Up on the pegs, allow the motorcycle to buck underneath him. And in control he goes. So Tony Elias last time by a 42.3. Still incredibly fast lap times. I just think that Cam Beaubier might have something left in the tank. Because the one thing we know.
Ooh, it's that big bump on the inside just there to Tony in that little fast right kink.
Yeah, but the thing with Tony, Jason, is there's Roger Hayden taking a look on after his early exit from this race, is he's got to figure out not only where to pass Tony, I think, but how you can hold him off from fighting right back.
Yeah, well, and that's the key. And that's why I think turn 3 is such a good spot. Tony, did he miss the inside of that chicane?
I don't know.
That was weird. Maybe it's just my eyes, but I thought he kind of just missed the inside part of the chicane. But yeah, the thing is, Greg, is that's why I think it's got to happen in turn 3, because if Garrett can get down into turn 4, 5, 6 clean, he might be able to pull enough of a gap to where Tony can't do anything with him in 7.
Tony just got such a great drive, Jason, coming through turns 18 and 19.
Yep.
On
He's
that
good
one.
through all here.
Yeah.
And here's our battle for 3rd. Got Skoltz and we got Josh Herron, and now we have also Jake Lewis is right on the back of these guys. We're looking for Bobby Fong being just behind. He's just behind him there.
Behind him, yeah. Just lost touch with him, and I think it was that whole fracas that we saw between Skoltz, Lewis, and Bobby Fong. He just lost that little bit, and now he's losing touch with this group.
Yep, he's just got to keep grinding it out though, because he ran 42.6 that last lap. These other guys, well, Skoltz did 42.7. The other two behind him are a little bit faster, but Matthew's going to have a taste here, I think, a minute of Josh Herron as they come down into turn 7. It might even be not quite now. We know both these guys are very, very hard breakers. And Jake is just sitting there right behind them.
Are you kidding me? With a podium on the line right now, these three could get serious.
Yep.
With 1 lap to go in this one.
That's exactly right. Yeah, what do we have now, Greg? 6 laps to go, 6.5 laps to go, I guess it would be?
6.5, yeah. Matthew Skoltz, Yamalu Westby Racing on that Yamaha. One of the riders on the lips of Yoshimura Suzuki to fill that vacant spot for 2019 in the Yoshimura crew. Possibly be Tony Elias's teammate, Tony. Not a done deal yet, no contract signed yet, but they're definitely in talks to renew his contract. Cameron Beaubier also contractless for 2019. I know he's talking about his options, the possibility of staying here in the States on the factory Yamaha or possibly World Superbike. So a lot of activity in silly season as Cam Beaubier comes across the line, 0.3 of a second again. Jay, I don't know. I mean, I'm not 100% convinced at this point that this is Cam Beaubier's race to win.
Well, why don't we look at the times, because you might be onto something, Greg. 42.1 to a 42.2 that last lap by, and it looks like it really does. There's the big drive. Matthew got all out of shape coming up over the top of that rise, and Herron's going to pull up underneath him as these three are as close as they can be.
You give him half a bike length, and Herron's taking
It's a great move again, and you saw Matthew's bike. You saw Matthew look over his left shoulder, and when he came up over the rise in turn 2, he knew what had just happened. He lost a lot of time up over the top of that hill. And Jake's just probably sitting there going, okay, where can I do this? Where's my spot?
Yeah, really.
This is a hard track to pass on. So, like the old adage, catching somebody's one thing, passing them is another, really plays true here. That said, first split, Tony Elias, 41.9, 0.3 of a second quicker than Cameron through that first split. So maybe fuel load's gone down a little bit, and Tony still feels like he can do the times that he needs to do to try to open up that gap.
Yeah, Tony just went fastest Sector 1 split of the entire race.
Yep.
With Cameron chasing him. So, I mean, Cameron's capable a few laps ago, 6 laps ago, of doing a 41.7.
Yep.
And
then look what happens in the second split. Second split, Cameron goes his quickest split of the race, and it's the quickest overall of the race. So that gap is back down to nothing. Yeah. So, and that's kind of what this place is like. You can be good in one sector and not in another, but look at Herron. He's able to open up a gap now over Matthew Skoltz.
And he ripped that chicane, too.
He really did.
Yeah, he went in there really strong and got out of there well. As now Matthew Skoltz trying to find the grip to stay with Josh Herron. That's that battle for 3rd spot. This for the win.
He's just not close enough. I mean, he's too far back right now, Cameron is. We got 5 to go, but Cameron is that was really clean by Josh there. He got up over the top of that hill, perfect. You can see like all the bikes as the tire wear goes to. Now see Jake's got a little bit of a run on Matthew. Is he going to try it as well, Greg? Yes, he is.
So up the inside, M4X Star Suzuki's. Jake Lewis, he's able to get it turned. Does he leave the door open?
No, it's going to be really hard to do anything down here. So now he's just got to be careful. And you know, with all the talk in the paddock about who gets this right, these two guys both know they're on that short list right now, and you know, it's a pride thing. You know, when you know that there's a spot available and you want it, you know the guys that you're racing with are on the list with you. You know, he's got a podium now in front of him. You know, Jake does, and so he wants to try to get after Heron the best he can. Look at those first splits again, Greg.
Oh wow, another fastest Sector 1 split for Tony Elias and a personal best split for Cameron Beaubier. So Elias really starting to push the issue. This bike really starting to come in for him. Whether it's, you know, the condition of the tires, they've set up bikes before where they like to have the tires go off and it's more comfortable, fuel load or whatever, or just Tony getting all these laps underneath his belt, getting used to it.
Yeah, here you go. Great shot by our crew as they come up over the top of turn 1. He's got that extra soft front, medium rear, Greg, on the back, and both bikes. Neither bike backing in there and just rolling through that corner as nice as you like. So good look at Tony here. Now as they come up over the top of turn 2, you can see all the bike just bouncing and moving around. They cut across that yellow line. That white line is a blend-in line for when they leave pit lane. They've kind of been told to not cross over during the race if they can. So that's why those guys skim that white line. But back up here again, 41.6s for both of these guys.
Fastest lap of the race now on lap 13. Shows you how incredible these Dunlop tires are holding up. So Tony Elias has answered any questions that Cam Beaubier had for him. The question now to answer for the rest of the race with 3.5 laps to go. Is Tony Elias the man again?
Well, you know, the thing is just with seeing him run that time and knowing how hard it is to pass, and, you know, we're kind of getting at that point of the year where championship becomes a little bit of the importance. I think the only way that Cameron will decide to really make a big pass on Tony if it's something that really opens up. I know Cameron loves to have a shot. He will take a shot at it if it's there. But I think it's Tony's showing some real pace right now at the end of this race.
Yeah, real pace.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking about 141.6. Cameron's practice/race lap, he owns that fastest one, the non-qualifying lap at a 141.1.
Tony's in deep. Looks like he was trying to get that bike into gear. See how much Cameron closed up on him? It looked like the bike wasn't quite going into the gear he wanted to, and you can see how deep he was into that chicane. So keep an eye on that as well. We know at the beginning of the year he was having some problems with that with the shifting, but now Cameron's probably as close to him as he's been the last 3 laps, Greg. So going up over into turn 1 right now, let's see if Cameron closes that gap up at all.
Yeah, and you can see Cam pushing it because it was sideways.
Yep, you call it, Greg.
Yeah, his R1 was sideways on that one where we usually see it in line. So Cam not giving up on this one, but the question is, risk reward, will he try to throw a shot at Tony Elias for the win when he has the national championship so
Jake
close
Lewis,
in his grasp?
Sorry, Greg, I didn't mean it, but did you see his foot fall off the peg?
Yep.
Jake Lewis's foot fell off the peg going up over that little mound, and that's just because when the bike's moving around and you're going to do that upshift, man, he's lucky he didn't run over his own leg. I've seen that happen. Look at Cameron's closed that gap. First split time's coming up.
Ooh, and lap traffic coming up too.
Yep. And did you see Tony's kind of already starting that protective mode? He's got +0 on his board. Both these guys are in the 41s again that last lap. First sectors are not that fast though. They're almost about 5-6 tenths off their best first sector. We saw Tony run a 41.9 here, 41.8 a little bit ago, so almost a full second. So something must have happened in that first sector when they went down from turn 3 down to turn 5, because it's allowed Cameron to just claw right up on the back of him. Tony might have been trying to push really hard in mid-race to see if he could get away, and now he hasn't. He might be trying to save a little something. Here they come again into that chicane. This time both guys clean.
Pretty tidy.
Yep, really tidy through there that time. You can see Bruno Silva just moving out of the way.
Bruno Silva gets out of the way, waving blue flags indicate to him All right, so you can see that Tony's starting to spin a little bit more, but he's still able to get a very good drive.
He keeps it on the edge of the tire for a long time, Greg, through that long right. So that definitely has something to do with that. This time, Cameron's much cleaner through this section. Much cleaner. He's actually got a pretty good run on Tony right now. He had a great run on him. Here you go. This battle for third. See how long it takes for Josh's bike to just kind of get settled underneath him? That might give Jake a chance, too, when they get up into turn 3.
All right, so 2 laps to go, really like kind of a lap and 3/4 at this point, maybe 2/3 for Cameron Beaubier. He's got to make a decision quickly on what he's going to do, because it doesn't look like he's going to be able to be close enough exiting the chicane to try to make some 2 corners to the end pass.
Yep.
Nor is he able to get the drive to even possibly draft past Tony Elias.
Yep, and he's not as good down through there. So they must have had something happen last lap, Greg, because they went 42-1 that time in the first split. But see how he draws up on the back of him? Now it's Cameron's trying to ramp something up. He's got me kind of fooled of where it could happen. The only place I really see it happening is 3, but Tony's so good into turn 1.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So good into 1 that Cameron, the problem with Cameron at this point, Jason, I think, is he doesn't have the line choice necessarily that he wants to make a move on Tony.
Oh, he opened up the top of that hill to try to drive down the hill, Greg.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to interrupt you, but that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to think about getting somewhere up alongside of Tony through that last section. So maybe there's something that he sees there. Tony turning in a little bit early at the top of 14 or whatever.
Yeah, but the setup of his bike didn't like it. I mean, it started to spin and pump too. Yep. So whatever geometry and suspension settings didn't really work that great for Cameron Beaubier.
Here we go.
Closer. He's closer.
Yep,
White flag. This is it. If Cam Beaubier is going to make a move, it's going to come in the next couple of corners.
And they got a back. Now this is going to help him. Tony turned in early. Cameron's going to be able to draw up on the back of him a little bit here. This could actually help. See, he's trying to go to the left. Exactly what he was trying to practice earlier. And he just can't quite get that drive. Tony's got
both feet off.
Yeah, he's got it in there sideways. But Cameron, he was trying to get that bike to the left of Tony, but the bike just didn't go up over the top of that rise. They got back marker just up in front of them right now.
Tony, he's just so all over the racetrack, and he pinched him off. He just couldn't do it.
But this is the next chance right here, coming down into turn 7 is the next spot. And now they're going to run into San Verderico right in the middle of the S's. So not sure if Sam knows, doesn't know it's there, but this is going to be important. If Tony gets by, Cameron's got to stuff his way through as well.
So San Verderico, he didn't quite pick it up.
No, he didn't.
I'm shocked. But he got by. Cam got by, but it's that extra bike length right there.
But look, he's close enough. He's going to try something into this next right, Greg. And
Cam Beaubier bends it in.
Yep,
Tony's got to stand it up.
What
Can he
move.
turn it?
What a move. Now, it's going to be, now the tricky part is going to be, look at Tony.
Oh!
That is such a big pass there to do that there.
Cameron was
sideways.
That
is the race. That is the absolute race. I don't think Cameron is going to be able to do anything. He might be able to get a good run through here. Tony really closes off his entry. That's going to help Cameron get a run. Look, he's got a run on him again, Greg.
Wow.
A big run. Let's see what happens.
Cam Beaubier.
Look at these two guys.
He's on the brakes.
Is he going to be able to get a slow turn?
No
Tony's going to turn
way.
it back up underneath him. What good racing between these two guys on the last lap.
How do you like that? Cameron Beaubier close. He's got to give him a run to the line. It's not over, but a spin to the rear wheel.
Oh, man.
.046 the margin of victory for Tony Elias.
Unbelievable.
What
Tony,
a race.
Tony loves that stuff. And there you go. It looks like Josh Herron gets a well-deserved third place. Good weekend for the Attack Performance crew. Jake Lewis comes home in 4th. Josh Herron runs his fastest lap of the race on the last. Sorry, I've been a little bit sick, a little bit out of it. And,
Bobby Fong will come home in 6th spot for the Genuine
Bobby.
Roaster Chicken Honda team. Sam Verderico, he'll go back and look at that one. I think he did what he needed to do. I thought Sam would stand up there for a second, but I don't think he really had much of an impact on that race because it came down to Cam Beaubier. He just ran out of lean angle and ran out of drive.
All the action happened after they got by Sam. But to pass where Tony just passed, I cannot tell you, for those that have never been around this racetrack, and those that have, they know how little room there was up there. And these guys just did that race. They raced that close. No contact was made. Just good, clean, hard racing.
That is one happy Spaniard. And he's going to look back on that race and incredible. Can't wait to hear Cam Beaubier's version of it because there must have been so much going through his mind on where he could possibly do it. We thought maybe it was over, that Cam wouldn't fight back, but that chicane, that drive out of there, that was something special. Fastest lap of his race, Josh Herron, a 142.170, and Herron was able to do it on the last lap of this race to hold on to third spot. Jake Lewis, by the way, finished as Cam Beaubier stops and picks up Roger. So Jake Lewis finishes 0.88, so almost 0.9 of a second behind Herron.
Look at this. Both bikes are shaking coming up over the hill. And I don't know what it is, but it's something about us riders that we want to celebrate prior to getting actually across the line. And I was worried that Tony was just celebrating a tad bit too early. But, man, you could tell he's very stoked with that ride, as is Cameron. You know, these guys, they've been through the wars a little bit in the past, but I still think there's a tremendous amount of respect between all of our riders here in MotoAmerica.
I love the risk that Cameron Beaubier took. Now, he had 61 points.
Yeah.
So let's just say it was disaster. He threw it down the road. He would have given up 25 to Tony. I get it.
Let's be honest. The guy who's closest to him, he would have probably cleaned him out with him, so it wouldn't have been too big a deal, right?
True, right? But, but I do love the risk that he took, and the fact that Cam Beaubier is focused on nothing but race wins. It excites me for the next 4 races that we have to finish off the 2018 season here in Motul Superbike class in MotoAmerica. There you see the margin of victory, 0.046. The old 0.0 Valentino Rossi for Tony Elias over Cam Beaubier, and then Josh Herron was 7.7 drift. Jake Lewis back there, Skoltz in 5th spot, just ahead of Bobby Fong. So Fong did an all right job, his first ride for the Genuine Broaster Chicken Honda team. He wanted to finish better than 8th, better than he qualified. He did that, and they'll keep moving forward, no question about it. Danny Eslick, Wyman, David Anthony in 9th spot. And good job for Max Flinders, able to finish in 10th, San Bernardino, Bruno Silva. Wow, so Tony Elias celebrates with his crew and girlfriend, and we will celebrate with Tony when we come back to Pit Race after this commercial break. I hope you had a chance to catch your breath. I know Jason finally has. Oh man, what a race that was, which means we got to get down to Hannah in victory lane.
I'm here with our 3rd place finisher, Josh Herron. Josh, pretty interesting start to the race. Tell us about your battle for 3rd. You guys were mixing it up back there.
Yeah, that was a pretty hard race. From the beginning, I felt like I could have hung with Tony, but I kept making some mistakes. I don't know if it was me or the setup that we had on the bike or the tire, what it was, but I've seen a few guys lose the rear entering the corners this weekend and have some gnarly high sides, and I had a big moment going into a corner, 3rd gear corner pretty quick, and it just kind of mentally screwed me up for a little bit. And Cam went by me, Garrett went by me, Skoltz went by me. I was like, man, I'm running down the order. And then somehow in the middle of the race I found a little bit of confidence and was able to chip away a little bit more. And then Jake was there at the end, and I knew my only chance was to put in a decent lap on the second to last lap and then really haul on the last lap. And I think the last lap we did our fastest lap of the race, so I'm proud with that. Double podium. We got our first win yesterday, got some solid points, got to ride one of the best tracks in the country this weekend and accident free, and we're going home with a nice bike, not a crashed one. So thanks to the whole Attack Yamaha team. They've been working super hard all year, and getting these podiums rolling consistently now, I think it proves that we're a championship threatening team for next year, and just super stoked. Thanks to the crowd. I had a ton of fun with you guys last year. You guys are super exciting. It's super motivating to come over on the hill and watch the 600 race and have everybody say hi to you on the way up. And so thanks a lot. Can't wait to come back next year, and thanks to the track for making all the improvements.
Congrats on a successful weekend. Thanks, Josh.
Josh heading off somewhere. It was a great ride and great points. Obviously coming off a win, and like you said, kind of this last couple races, they were smacking some parts up pretty badly.
Yep, no question. And I think that to go to Jersey and Barber for the next couple rounds, he'll be a big threat at both those places too.
Interested to see how Cameron Beaubier is after this one. Is he happy? Is he sad? Because man, he put in a great effort, Hannah.
He absolutely did. That's right. Cam, how are you feeling about your results today? You were pushing really, really hard trying to catch Tony out there.
Yeah, I rode a hard race. I made a little misshift on the start, and it kind of shuffled me back a little bit. And Herron and Gerloff were riding really good. Then Herron made a little mistake, and I was able to put my head down and chip away at Tony's lead. And I knew he had really good pace today, better pace than he's had all weekend. And I felt comfortable sticking right on his rear wheel, and my plan was to try to do something with 5 to go or so, and came up a little short, but gave him all I had. So hats off to him. But big thanks to my Monster Energy Yamaha team. They've been working so hard, and after yesterday, it's really good that we put ourselves in this position, winning some races throughout the last few rounds, and to be able to take the back foot yesterday and be safe. So hats off to those guys for working so hard. Dunlop Tires, Yamaha Financial Service, Bell, Alpine Stars for keeping me safe, and move on to New Jersey.
How do you balance risk versus reward when you're out there? Obviously, there's a championship on the line. You're chasing down Tony. You were taking risks. You weren't playing it safe. So take us through that thought process.
Yeah, yesterday was one of those races where it was mixed conditions. It was pretty easy to fall down. Today was a nice sunny day. The track was good, and I was just going for it. I was having so much fun on my R1. And I felt like I had the pace to win. Came up short, but like I said, we're sitting pretty good in the championship. We're going to 2 good tracks, and looking forward to it.
Congratulations. Thanks, Cam.
Coming up short, 46 hundredths of a second. So Cam Beaubier, another podium appearance for his season. He's only been off the box twice. So Cameron Beaubier, now his championship points lead shrunk a little bit, Jason, but by 5 points. So Tony Elias is definitely keeping this championship alive. So Tony Elias and Cameron Beaubier now are tied at 7 wins apiece for the 2018 season, Hannah.
Tony, kind of a mixed results for you this weekend, but back on the podium, walking away with a win this weekend. How are you feeling about your performance today?
Well, I was really happy with the result we had yesterday, because in that tricky conditions it's so easy to mistake, but I get points. The most important thing, we reduced 2 points, better than nothing. And today I was hoping for a rain day race, because this morning I've been really fast. But was dry. I knew Cameron was so strong with the strong pace than us. But my strategy worked. I was leading since the first lap. A little bit more than Josh Herring destroyed my plan, but I could do my strategy. Was be 6-7 laps defending the first place. Then I knew our pace become more equal. I've been yesterday behind Gerloff. Yamaha right now is so strong, little bit more traction than us, but our bike was really good in other areas, so was good. I did a good pace. He was there. I tried to open the gap. I saw it was impossible, and I said, okay, like always, let's play the last laps. He played hard. He played well. We love this. Today was for me. I'm so happy. It's the most important win of the season, because we suffer a little bit. This is for my team, because they are working and giving me more than what we have. And also, this race is for our speaker. We will miss him a lot.
Thank you so much, Tony. Congrats to you again.
All right, so Tony Elias dedicating his win to Brian Drever.
Yeah, of course.
Passed away.
Yep.
On Thursday on his way to the racetrack. On his motorcycle, he hit a deer on his way to the airport, actually, in his home in Georgia. But Tony Elias, what a masterful performance, Jason, that he put on in this one. He controlled the pace, and when Cameron Beaubier threw the shots at him, in typical Tony style, he just reacted to it, and he made it